Hi, I'm Nelson Sue. I'm a professor of orthopedic surgery here at UCLA. I'm going to be showing you a solution to a problem that's bothered me since I was a resident 25 years ago.
Hi, I'm Nelson Sue, professor and residency program director in the UCLA Department of Orthopedic Surgery. Appreciate the opportunity to demonstrate our orthopedic surgical assist arm. This arm is a novel orthopedic surgical assist arm that's used in one of the most common and fundamental procedures in orthopedic surgery, which is the reduction and fixation of broken bones. The technology you'll see today and prototype has been developed with seed funding from the UCLA Technology Development Group. The clinical problem we're addressing is one of the most fundamental orthopedic surgery, which is realigning broken bones so that we can fix them. Currently, you might be surprised that this is mostly accomplished with manual traction and techniques such as pushing on the leg with a mallet or propping up the leg with a crutch. As you might imagine, it really relies on the strength and endurance of the surgeon. Is very imprecise and also exposes the surgeon and the patient to excess radiation as we're checking the alignment over and over again with intraoperative fluoroscopy. This is something that's frustrated me for a long time. And so I developed a novel surgical assist arm that's simple to operate, precise, sterilizable, and important in this market, very inexpensive to manufacture. You see the CAD models and the actual prototype shown below. Currently where we are, you'll see in the demonstration here that we have a functioning prototype that we use in surgery under IRB approval. We're looking to optimize the current prototype and transfer to manufacturing for eventual license to an orthopedic manufacturer. We think this would be a very appealing cross-selling platform for a licensee. It's protected by intellectual property, one patent that's been allowed and one pending still. And we've had multiple FDA consultants that are in agreement with our assessment that this is a FDA Class 1 510K exempt device that likely have a rapid pathway to market from a regulatory perspective. As I mentioned before, we really see the value in this technology, particularly to one of the big four manufacturers of orthopedic implants. All these manufacturers they all manufacture implants that are poorly differentiated. A proprietary fracture reduction system that appeals to the surgeon would really offer an opportunity to get into ORs that they otherwise wouldn't have access to and cross-sell their products to surgeons that otherwise would use their competitors' products. We'll now proceed with the demonstration of the technology and hopefully illustrate a little bit about how it works.
Hi, this is first test case of the ortho assist arm. It's a fairly difficult distal third femur fracture with quite a bit of displacement. You see on the AP lateral views here. This is our sterilized instruments. Currently, we have them in the tray. For the table setup, we use a standard OSI flat top table. Put some bed rails on there to attach our sterile clamps. You can put them on either side if you want to have them on both sides of the table. Showing the arm setup, I'm going to show you the full video here. It's a few minutes to do this. It's actually probably going to be much shorter, I think, the next time we do it. This is the first case, but you see me here attaching the sterile bed rail. And these are the rails on the OSI table underneath the drapes. You can see I had it pretty loose. That's why it's taking a little bit extra time. It's on there securely. We're doing a retrograde nail here. So you see the setup on the flat top will bring the C-arm in. I think you'll see it sets up nicely with the C-arm in just a moment. Here's the first arm going in. And you can use the black handle for gross adjustment here and move it wherever you want. Pretty good range of motion at all three joints, as you can see. Here's the second rail. And again, these are those small rail attachments, so none of this will interfere with the radiographic fluoroscopy. See this here. This is a slightly different clamp design. Any of these would be fine. They're all sterile. Everything's sterile on the field, obviously. And again, you see the gross setup here. In the following images, we'll see, if you needed to move this up or down, you could either take the clamp off or slide a little bit. But it could be repositioned. I'm just demonstrating that here. And again, the black handle for gross adjustment and the quick release for fine adjustment once we have the pins in place. And you see here, this is with the C-armor. You can see we got plenty of room for AP and lateral projections There's a lateral view, plenty of room to do the surgery. Fracture reduction, we start here with pin placement. We put one lateral pin in each fragment. Eventually, we're going to hold the fragments reduced with the pins. We had a little supplemental attachment between the pins with the X-fix bar. That might be another item to sell folks. You can see here again, it's a pretty difficult fracture, very distal and unstable. This is an example of how much we can manipulate the fracture with just the pins. So there's quite a bit of manipulation here on the AP and the lateral. We'll get pretty good alignment and end up with, for a very difficult fracture, pretty good overall alignment. And these are just the final. So this is just a brief kind of overview of the concept behind the first case, and hope you look forward to following with more.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelson. How is this done today? What's the standard of care today? And would this only work with clean fractures?
So there's an old saying in orthopedic surgery that you have to be as strong as the ox and almost as smart. So all we do today is we pull on the leg. My favorite technique for accomplishing this procedure, I would never tell my wife, is to grab the leg and get exposed to radiation while I'm checking it. And so this is you can see why this is such a passion of mine, having to deal with these drawbacks of this surgery to myself and to the patient and to the operating team. And it can be used for any fracture because you just put the pins in and minimally invasive sort of manipulation of the bones.
The sort of go-to-market strategy for you would be to find a large, one of the large manufacturers to sort of partner with you. Do they have any sort of competitive, like stabilizing armature products at the moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's what I think is so exciting to me is that what's special about this is inexpensive to manufacture, be easy to get through the VAC committee, be easy to get it. If you have some KOLs that want to use it, easy to get to the market. There really isn't a good competitive armature. There are lots of little tools that people use that are just as barbaric as what we're doing now. I've been in discussions, for example, with Arthrex. So Arthrex is not one of the big four players in the trauma market, but they just purchased a trauma company, and they're trying to get into this market. One nail, one screw is the same as anybody else's nail or screw, and that's why they're interested in the technology, because if I have something you want to use, only I have it, it's IP protected, I can say, hey, do you mind if I bring my nail while we're doing it? And suddenly you're cross-selling, you're in an OR that you never had access to. There's been lots of studies of how much it costs to convert an orthopedic surgeon. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars to convert an orthopedic surgeon, probably even more for someone like me that's been in practice for 20 years. So they don't have a directly competitive product to this. And so I think that's what's exciting, because if one of them buys it, I think it's going to be worth a lot to them.
And do you see, or what's your estimate from your experience and background on both time savings in the surgery, just as far as the marketing case to get the, as you said, through the VAT system, the hospitals to buy it? What's the pitch to get them to adopt it?
Yeah, so I think this is probably the strongest point of the cost savings. So we go to the VAC and we tell them, instead of putting a fracture table in the room, which is a large traction table, which is the standard of care, and pulls the leg and costs $300,000, more importantly, that fracture table takes your staff 40 minutes to set up before and 40 minutes to take down afterwards. Every minute of that time has a cost. If I can get an extra case on that day, that's worth thousands of dollars. And we're talking about sort of a razor blade model. I'd sell you the arm, cost of goods to build this, couple thousand, $3,000. Maybe sell your arm on the monthly VAC purchase cycle instead of a capital cycle for $10,000, $15,000. But where the money is the pins. So every case you need a couple of pins, which will have a little bit of proprietary connection to our device. They cost a couple dollars to make, and we sell them for a few $100s every case. And again, our argument to the hospital will be, we're saving you 90 minutes. Even if you value that 90 minutes at $10 an hour, the device has already paid for itself.
Thank you, that's super helpful. And then what do you think, using that kind of razor blade model, the TAM is for you for this product?
So we did a study where we looked in California and projecting that out. Just for the initial use case of long bone fractures is about 70,000 cases a year. So we kind of calculated our initial beachhead TAM in the range of $60 million. But We think it's much, much larger. It can be used in a wide variety of cases. I think most of you know that these armatures are used to hold things in all kinds of surgery, scopes, endoscopy. If I can add a little quick release, wouldn't you rather have that instead of using two hands to do that? So we think there's a broad adjacent markets as well too.
I'd love to ask one last question. Sorry to take up so much time, but yeah, as you said, when you have a physician that has a lot of background and experience, have you guys, or how many different surgeons have used this first product, even like, the cadaver model? What's like the training period you expect for a new surgeon to learn it? Because I know doctors don't like to change their workflow and how they've done things.
That's a great question. So I've done it with my partners. I've done several cases with my partners. They actually did better than I did with it because it's a simple device. I mean, you see it, right? I tighten it, you squeeze it, move it, and let go, and it springs back. It's not complicated to use. That's what's exciting to me about bringing this to market. I think it's one of those devices, if I can get a KOL to use it, they're going to want to use it again. So that's where we are, is proving that product market fit. But I believe so strongly that that's going to be there, and that's been my experience showing it to my partners. And as part of this, we interview people about kind of their process for doing fractures and the things that frustrated them. And I think all of us kind of coalesce around this clinical need.
Are you contracting them out to out of the country, or you found a U.S. contractor for actually making the devices, or do you make them yourself?
So the prototype was developed by Zymedica, a product development firm. Since that time, in terms of our transfer to manufacturing, we've identified a couple folks, some in Southern California, one out in Alabama. So it's stainless steel. So the parts are not. That's why I mentioned the cost of goods to build this thing is actually pretty small. It's all just stainless steel. But we would hope to produce it domestically just because it's easier for us. But probably be a little bit cheaper overseas. But I think the cost of it is so low that we would hopefully be able to stay domestic.